Well, it's a bunch of Dan Johnsons out here. I figured it out.
It's a bunch of them.
We not common at all, man. So, but I am grateful that I am me.
Absolutely.
So Dan D. Johnson kind of helps distinguish.
Dan D. Johnson.
Absolutely.
100%. So tell the people where you from.
Man, born and raised Chicago, and south side of Chicago. Been living now in the Southland area for the past, decade and a half or so.
Okay. When you say South Side's at the Hundreds.
Oh, that's Inglewood, baby.
Inglewood.
In the beginning, and then Auburn Gresham prior to migration.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then so you've been out here for it. So when did Strikes and Bites come about?
Man, we were established in 2025
Okay.
as a actual business. Envision 2024
Okay.
as a opportunity, as a hey, could we do this? And so my daughter and I, we acquired the land, the property in June of 2025, and the place hadn't been remodeled since 1979. And so it had been in a community since 1953. And one family, 3 generations. So it took us about 6 weeks to get it renovated, and then August 8th was our actual grand opening.
So you say you acquired the land and the property.
Yeah, so the land, the building, there's another parcel of property that's of land right across the street.
Mm-hmm.
That's a parking lot. We acquired that.
Okay.
All of that happened in June of 2025, June 3rd to be exact.
Gotcha. June 3rd, 2025. So it was you, your daughters. It's like, so it's a family affair.
You can say the way that Strikes and Bites came about was my daughter had just recently graduated from college in LA.
Okay.
And we were driving one day, I don't know where we were going, and she said, "Hey, Daddy, I want to go back to LA to open a business." And I said, "Baby, you can't go to LA and open a business until you've cut your teeth in entrepreneurship alongside your dad. And I make certain that I groom you to become a boss chick." I said, so we agreed that we'll give it about a 5-year run in some type of business in Chicago. And then from there, we'll reconsider migrating to LA or, what we're going to do from there. And so she and I was talking about, we both like cooking.
Mm-hmm.
We both love food.
Mm-hmm.
And so she and I was talking about a restaurant. I had owned a restaurant in the Lansing community several years back.
Okay.
And decided to close it because I went into entrepreneurship from the very beginning for one reason only: freedom to be a dad. And so the restaurant was taking away my freedom.
Okay.
I was doing homework with my kids inside the restaurant.
Okay.
I'm missing field trips because of the restaurant. Miss a game because of the restaurant. School called. I think the straw that broke the camel's back was that the school called. The principal called to talk to me about and wanted me to come because something was going on with my daughter. And I told the school that I would be there the next day because I was the only one in the restaurant. And the next day was too late.
Yeah.
And so right then I kind of knew that I had to rethink this. So we closed it. And then now, 12 years later, 12, 13 years, 15 years later, I'm opening a business with a restaurant with my daughter.
Yeah.
And so that's how we wind up doing it. We were looking at another business in Munster.
Okay.
A restaurant. And so they couldn't produce their financials or what have you. And then one day when I was walking, trying to get slim like you, I was walking past the bowling alley. I saw the sign, and I said, "What is this?" After living in the community for 15 years, I had no idea that it was a bowling alley. Drove past it a million times, thought it was some old school lounge or something. Never went inside. Peeped in. I said, "Oh, shoot, this is a bowling alley." The second time I walked by, saw this for sale sign, went online and looked and saw how much they wanted. And I was like, shoot, man, ain't nobody spending that kind of money for this. I don't even know if I can afford this. And then the third time, it was raining. 2-3 weeks later, I walked a block past in the rain. Something told me to walk back. I took a picture. When I took the picture of the sign, I called. I asked my daughter, I said, what do you think about owning a bowling alley? She said, that can be fun. That can be cool. And went in, saw it, made a ridiculous offer. They countered and said that offer is ridiculous. And I then, man, I accepted their counter blindly without talking to a bank or anybody. I sent them a letter of intent, signed the contract, sent them a non-refundable, sent them a deposit, earnest money, and the faith journey began from there.
Gotcha. So you were looking to acquire either operating business or to revamp a business that was already there?
Yeah, or start a business.
Either or.
My princess said, Daddy, I want to start a business. And so for me, my mindset was, that gets me excited. Because I've always raised my children to, we don't cash checks, we write checks.
100%.
I've always raised them to think like bosses and not like employees.
100%.
And so when one of them say, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to start a business, then that's go mode.
Yeah, 100%.
And so here we are.
Yeah. Okay. So what has been some of your biggest challenges with that? Just making that decision, or any extra red tape you had to go through as far as actually being operational?
Well, so challenges. Anytime you're going into uncharted territory, the challenge of the unknown is always present.
Yeah.
And we are a family of faith. And so the reality of the situation is, to me, living by faith is always a risk. But I don't have to absorb the risk.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. What I have to do is work the faith.
Yeah.
And so understanding that there was challenges, my accountant said, don't do it. That was a challenge. My accountant looked at the financials of the previous owners and said, don't do it. Went to 7 banks. 6 out of the 7 banks said no. One of them looked at me and my daughter in our face, and she said, I've been in this industry for over 25 years. While I appreciate your zeal, there's no bank in the world that would do this deal. And I looked at her and said, I got one question. When we have the grand opening, will you come? And she spent the next 30 minutes trying to apologize and say she didn't mean, she's not seeming to offend, she just want me to be realistic. And this is why you can't allow somebody else's realisticness to be your real.
Right, because they don't see your vision.
Because not only see vision, but they don't have your faith. And so banks said the financials was terrible. So they said no. Other banks said you have no experience. They said no. And the last bank said yes, considering that I would have an SBA partner. I would have the SBA backing me. So SBA had already given me a pre-approval, if you will.
Okay.
That means they're going to front 35%. The bank was front 50%. That's 85. I come up with the other 15.
Okay.
SBA is the one that referred me to these banking people that 6 out of the 7 said no.
Yeah.
When the 7th one said yes, when they told me, well, you just got to go right back through underwriting with SBA, and after that we should be ready to go. Went back to SBA, who told me originally that it was a deal that they would do, came back and said no. The committee decided to deny it.
Wow.
No rhyme or reason. from October of 2024 till March of 2025, it was a yes. And when we found a banking partner to agree with that yes, they came back and said no.
So now you got to deal with that part.
So now I got to deal with that part. And so the banking partner that said yes was highly upset and called me upset, said, I don't believe it. We've been talking, meaning SBA and this particular partner had been talking. Everything was good. I don't know what did happen. And they were upset. And he said, I guess we're in a little bit of warfare, huh, Dan? I said, yeah. He said, no. He said, so what do you want to do? He said, how do you feel? And my only response to him was, I don't feel. I believe. And from there, he said, well, if you can believe, I'll believe with you. And I said, why don't you guys just do the deal? Cut out the middleman. And he said, well, you know, that goes farther up the chain than me. But he said, if so, you're going to have to come up with 30%. And I've seen your financials. Where are you going to get that kind of money? Do you think you could do it? Without hesitation, I said yes. Why? Because I believe. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, long story short, I went back to try to give him some more information that I thought he was going to need. He said, Dan, we don't need any of that. He said, our team has done the research on you. We've Googled you. We've done a deep dive. We've seen what people are saying. We've seen what you've been doing in the community for years. We're doing this deal based on you. We believe in you. We believe in your vision. And here we are.
Nice. So now your community. So besides strikes and bites, you got some community activism up under your belt.
You know.
That you don't really talk about, I don't think.
Not really. Earlier on, I would say a lot of community activism. I grew up in Englewood community. And so I used to do Stop the Violence, marches and parades. I used to coordinate churches coming together to go into, to bring the community together. I would go into the schools and bring all of the opposing gangs and all that stuff together, and I'll be the one to facilitate that. I've mentored about 1,500 at-risk youth personally over the past 2 decades. And so I moved from activism, for lack of better words, I would say, to philanthropy, and to really mentorship at large. Yeah. And so through our non-for-profit, we have serviced about 20,000 families since its inception. Since we opened Strikes and Bites, for Thanksgiving, we serviced about 675 families. Okay. About with enough to cover 3,000 people. We adopted nearly 200 kids whose parents were on drugs, incarcerated, or deceased for Christmas, allowing them to write out their Christmas wish list. And from there, my team went and shopped for everything on the list. And then we took a day and gave each one of those families an hour of bowling. Nice. In our facility. And then right before Christmas, we gave away another 200 bags of groceries to kind of help offset some of the shortfall from when they suspended EBT, the link card, or whatever the case may be. And then we've adopted a grandmother who's taking care of her great-great-granddaughter, and we are covering their groceries for the entire year of 2026. Man, we just do what we do. Yeah. And we don't do it for the fanfare of the camera. We do it for the welfare of the people, which is why we've been doing this for years. And just my children, for years, before they open a gift, they had to give a gift. We go knocking on doors. I put on a Santa suit just about every year and on Christmas, and we would go knock on doors and surprise kids for Christmas. And then we'll come home and they'll open their gifts. We've adopted schools and bought every kid in the building a bike. And then one day I went to sleep that night and realized, wait a minute, these kids got siblings who don't go to the school. How does that feel? The kid bringing home a new bike and a sibling don't have one. So we call the school back and say, let me know all of the siblings they got. Yeah. And let me know the genders and the age. And we go back and buy all of the siblings in the entire school bikes. Wow. Again,
Impact.
not for any other reason, man, but to just meet a need of the community. To me, that's what real ministry is: meet needs of people. To reach out to those that was like me when I was them as a kid and didn't have, and always show my children that we can't afford to live a selfish life when we have people out there that need our help, children out there that need our help to give life.
Yeah.
So we go into business for 3 reasons. Number 1, to make money. Number 2, to give back. And number 3, to have freedom. But before freedom, we got to give back.
So gracious donations and gifting, tithes and offerings and things like that. I want to say, like, even looking at the establishment, I think they probably analyzed it based upon what it was before you transformed it. So they like, it hasn't worked then. How's it going to work now as far as just being a traditional bowling alley? But when you walk in there now, it's not a traditional bowling alley, you know. So you have integrated the aspects of network, family feel. You have some flavor, you know, as far as the different. You see, you got different nights, like the Steppers nights,
Step and Bowl, Taco Tuesday. You know, we were doing house night at Strikes and Bites, and karaoke Sunday. Sunday is our Sunday fun day.
Okay.
So we have all of those things. One of the things when my daughter and I was sitting there looking at our marketing material and all that stuff, we wanted to create a vibe.
Right. You got to create a vibe.
We wanted to create a vibe. And when you look at what people are saying about Strikes and Bites, they mention one of 3 things. Either A, going to mention the bites that's coming after the strikes.
Right.
They're going to mention our food. Number 2, they're going to mention our hospitality, our customer service. They're going to mention that. And number 3, they're going to mention the vibe, or they're going to mention the experience. We believe that those that come in are not just customers, they're guests.
Yeah.
And what do you do to guests? You serve them. And when you serve guests well, they come back.
Yep.
And by the time they come back that second or third time, they're no longer guests, they're family.
Yeah.
And so we got brothers that you would look at and say, them brothers would never bowl. And they never bowled. And now they're buying bowling balls and shoes. Not because they cared about bowling initially, they cared about being in the atmosphere.
Right.
So you could come and play cards. You come play spade, bid, whiz, uno, connect 4, dominoes, what have you, and never go home to the lane.
100%.
Or you come get a bite, watch the next big fight, the next big game, enjoy yourself. That's the vibe. It's like coming home.
Yeah.
People ask, why do I introduce myself, and as the proprietor, introduce my daughter, and most businesses I have, nobody knows who the owner is. And this one, I felt it important to build relationship with the people.
100%.
And let the people know, hey, I'm not here to take from you. I'm here to serve and do life with you. And my daughter and I, this shows what we can do in the community.
Yeah.
Number 1, it shows that a present father. It shows an active daughter. It shows what can happen. It shows how legacy can be lived out loud. And one of the things I believe about legacy is that legacy is not what you leave, it's what you live.
Yeah.
And so if you live it first, and when you leave it, it's sustainable.
100%.
Because if I don't live it with them,
They don't see
but
it.
I leave it to them, then they will lose it.
100%.
Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
So that's kind of where we are. And we're, you know, people, we don't lead in saying we're black. I'm so appreciative of my people that's been supporting us. I heard you guys were black owned. But we know that's a two-edged sword.
It definitely is.
So for us, yes, we are black owned. We're kingdom owned.
Yeah. We happen to be black owned.
We're family owned. I'm an Alpha, Alpha Phi Fraternity Incorporated. We're Greek owned. But after you support us first and foremost based on the color of our skin, I want you to come back because the level of service that you received was superior than any of our competitors in the marketplace.
Right. Hmm. So I know what you're instilling inside you have all daughters.
Oh no, bro!
Okay.
Please don't do that to me.
Let's go down the family tree.
I've been lost my. Oh Jesus! No, man. Just because it's only so much love that I can have towards a daughter. So to have 5 daughters, man, it would be unfair to me and them because I would not have enough capacity to love them all the way that I love my daughters. But I have 5 children.
Okay.
I have an oldest son is 29. My oldest daughter is 28.
Okay.
I have my middle son is 23. He and I own a general contracting company together.
Okay.
And he's like the utility knife at Strikes and Bites. He's not my right hand. He's not my left. He's my back.
Gotcha.
The reality is if I try to bend without him there, I might break. That's who he is. He is like the GOAT.
Nice.
That's my G.
Mm-hmm.
So he's 23. Then my princess, my youngest daughter, who is the one that owns Strikes and Bites with me, that's the girl that since she came out the womb, I tear up thinking about her. That girl, 22. And so
So the youngest one's the one that owns it with you.
My youngest daughter, Rachel, she owns it with me. And then my youngest son is 14. Now, my youngest son, when we acquired it, he was 13. He was responsible for 75% of our initial hires at Strikes and Bites. He were the one. Matter of fact, my daughter and she and I do stuff together. That's my girl. Mm-hmm. So we was traveling somewhere doing ministry together. And we had just acquired it, not even a month out, and she and I had to hit the road. Mm-hmm. And so calls were coming in. And my son Josiah was there while his brother and the team was doing remodeling. He answering phones and he giving us messages, calling us. And then one day he called me, and I was in Atlanta, and he said, "Dad, this is getting ridiculous." He said, "You got all these people calling. You got these applications. Y'all not calling them back. I know y'all busy." He said, "We getting ready to open in a few weeks. We don't have staff." And this is a 13-year-old. He said, "Do you want me to call them? Can I call them back and set everything up and start talking to them and interviewing them?" And I said, "Son, give me 3 questions that you'll ask them." He gave me the 3 questions. I said, "Perfect." I said, "Here's a couple of more questions that I want you to ask." By the time we got back, he had 7 or so interviews already set up, done. He had screened about, 15, 20 people that he weeded out on his own and did his thing. That boy right now, if I'm not there, Kyle's not there, my daughter Rachel's not there, everybody in the building, we got almost 20 employees, everybody knows he's in charge. And I trust him with it.
Nice.
At 14 years old.
Wow.
I trust his decisions. I have to work on him about learning to be flexible. He's very no nonsense.
Oh, he's 2-star.
Oh man, and he will send somebody home. He's ready to fire in a minute. He thinks I give too much grace. Just fire him.
So what you do? You be having them sitting down and watching Billions. What's going on here? Like what's part of this gumbo?
The reality is, man, I've been doing life with my kids since they've been born. So my oldest boy is a prolific salesman. But I taught him how to sell. He's been selling books for me since he was 10, 29. Then broke multiple records in different industries in the sports world for sales. I do life with him. He would go at 3 years old, be sitting in meetings with me.
Okay.
We're driving in a car. I'm asking questions like, why are we in business?
Okay.
And I'm drilling him, to make money, give back, have freedom. I'm drilling them. I'm asking questions, like I'll say, how do you, it's not important. It's not about how much money you make, but how much money they say keep.
Yes.
95% of all healthy business relationship is what? Relationship. The other 5% is what? Business. This has been, it's been instilled in them. We don't cash checks. We do what? Write the checks. Yeah. Cool people cash the checks. Yeah. Smart people write the checks. So while you growing up in school, you want to be cool or smart?
Exactly.
So it's just that boy been telling me who to fire since he was 5 years old, and every time I didn't listen, I suffered for it. So I have to trust
Right. What you instilled.
what I've instilled,
Mm-hmm.
and my job is just to shape them as they grow into who they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think a father, first of all, if you think about it, the father sets the identity for the family.
Yeah.
The father sets that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's my job to discern who my children are
Mm-hmm.
and then put them on a trajectory to become
Mm-hmm.
the full manifestation and maturation of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my middle son, Kyle, who I just told you is my backbone.
Yeah.
But I know he don't like to be on the front line. But he's whispering in my ear, Dad, you should do this. Dad, do this. Dad, do this. He walks around, yes, Father, at 23. But I knew he was going to be a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I could depend on him.
Yeah.
So I put him in positions where he could win. I knew he liked to be technical with his hands. I knew he was a guy that if I gave him a project, he wasn't going to give up on it.
Mm-hmm.
He was going to fight through it. I knew that. I knew my princess is a social butterfly. She's a magnet. Her personality attracts people.
Mm-hmm.
She has influence. She's smart. Whatever she decides to put her mind to, she could do it.
Yeah.
So I trust that.
So what was some of the things you used to do as far as individually, like per child? Because as they're growing up, you're identifying, oh, he's good at that, she's good at that. So what are some of the activities or things or you put in front of them to kind of enhance that?
So with my oldest boy, when it came to sales, like I said, I would be at conferences, speaking at conferences. I'll have books, and I'll give him the books. And I'd say, here, these books cost $10. For every book you sell, you keep 2. And you take 10 at a time. And he'll go throughout the conference and sell and he'll just bring back the $100 and ask for his 20. Then as he got older, I consulted a client in Australia in this online sales coaching program.
Mm-hmm.
I put him through that online sales coaching program so that he could learn the tenets of sales.
Gotcha.
Then encouraged him to do Cutco because selling Cutco knives forces you to do cold calling,
Yeah, I did
warm
that.
calling,
Yeah.
and all that. So you understand that.
Mm-hmm.
And I coached him through that.
Mm-hmm.
Then once he went after his first sales job and got it, I flew to Sacramento, spent a couple of days coaching him on strategy and how to set it up. And he, in first 30 days of being in Sacramento, a market he's never been in before, working for the Kings, he sold $145,000 worth of tickets.
Okay.
You know, by the time he reached his third season, he had sold $1 million in less than one season worth of ticket sales, broke 6 records. So that's how I groomed him.
Mm-hmm.
When it came to my middle son, Kyle, it's just I put him on a box truck because I knew he was going to work. He was the only kid that didn't mind working, even if he didn't like it. Mm-hmm. He taught tennis. He went to work. At about 13, he had a job. He was working. So just teaching him schedules and staying consistent and all of that. So I put him on a box truck. Then once he got comfortable with the box truck, I started teaching him management. And so now I don't want you to do the work. I want you to oversee the work.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, I believe it was, I gave him 51% ownership of the company.
See, that's amazing.
And so that's how I worked with him. With my princess, she's just always been under her daddy.
Mm-hmm.
And she has the personality. She has charisma. She's prolific in 8-9 forms of dance. Mm-hmm. She's a drama queen. You know, she loves the cameras and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so because I believed she was the one that I would trust to get stuff done at my crib. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to put together anything, baby, I need you to put this together. Mm-hmm. She go to work with decorations, putting all that. She got the vision. She making it all happen, you know. And then some of my CEO colleagues, they would say, I would say, hey, let my daughter work for you.
Gotcha.
When she was before she was a teenager, how did she do? Oh, she did great. Every time she went into a room, she became a leader in that room. Okay. So now it's just getting her to keep that heartbeat to receive as she grow into her own self and just become. And let her, when we're there at Strikes and Bites, it's not a dictatorship. I treat her as a partner. It may be a decision that I wouldn't make. And they said, well, Rachel said, well, then go with that. And if I got a concern about that decision, I'm going to talk to her privately. And then I'm still going to support it and tell her why I had the concern, because at the end of the day, I'm coaching her. Right. I told them from the beginning, this place has nepotism in it. She's my daughter. Undoubtedly, many of y'all may have more experience, this, that, and the other, but she's the OIT, the owner in training. And y'all job is to help her be the best owner on the planet. And then her job is to do the work. Yeah. And so we work through. It's different from being an employee and being an employer. It's different, the weight and the responsibility of being a boss. Yeah. And not having to lean on dad to do it. And you actually got to take up some of this weight. And then working through the stress that comes with that and teaching her how to deal with that stress, how to deal with working with her dad, who is anal as all get out when it comes to business. Yeah. So our relationship is having its shifts, because it's normally, since she was 3, the girl cries, she get whatever she want. Okay. Now, sometimes, baby, them tears ain't gonna work. We got to handle this business. We'll cry later.
We got to hold accountability now.
We got to hold accountability. And it's not because there's anything wrong, right. Because as I've shared with her, I've shared with my other sons, you guys gonna make mistakes. And I'm gonna give you the space to make it. Yeah. I'm just not gonna give you enough space where your mistake hurt us or break us.
Can't do that.
But I want you to make certain that you're a sponge. Yeah. Make certain if I drop dead tomorrow, I die empty. And you take on everything that I got and you put it with who you are and what you got, and you're going to be 10 times better than I ever could be. So I go, today is me and my daughter. We go out. We establish times where it's just us. Last week I was out with Josiah, my youngest son. Me and him went and had a bite to eat. Yesterday, me and my other son. So I spend time with them individually. I encourage them to not be all consuming with the business. I have to discern. My daughter's a girl, so sometimes she don't communicate how she feeling. All right. She'd rather me go and pray and seek God, and download revelation than her just saying, "Daddy, I feel this way." Right. Right. My other son, Kyle, he's not. Me and him was talking yesterday. He's not a social butterfly. He's not a guy that needs a big social circle, but what he does need is outlets. And for him, mixed martial arts, jiu-jitsu, boxing, taekwondo, he's proficient in all of those disciplines. That's his outlet. So I make certain that we give space in our scheduling and all of that for him to go to training 4, 5, 6 times a week. So that, because he needs that. Yeah. My youngest son is on a football scholarship. He's a freshman. So he's up 3 days 3 days a week. He's up at 5 o'clock in the morning so he could get to a 6 a.m. training, because he don't want to miss training. And then 2 days a week after school, he's in training. He's also taking 6 classes, and he works 25 to 30 hours a week at the bowling alley. Wow. And he's 14 years old, but he got a 3.71 GPA. They're looking to pull him from freshman to varsity on the football squad. But I give space for that. Yeah. I don't miss games. I go to the games. I'm at every parent. So I work hard, bro, to have a balance where my kids are not burned out, where they don't get to the point where they're tired of it. Yeah. For me, for almost 2 decades, everything I did, I had fun doing it, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have fun. I can't remember when the last time I actually worked. because everything I do, I have fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that it's days where I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's days where it's stressful, where it's not really stressful. I don't receive stress like that. But so I want my kids to feel like they have that balance.
Yeah.
And it's not just work, 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 work. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I fight hard for them to communicate with me. Hey, tell me what's on your heart, what's on your mind. Don't suppress it. Isolation's not good. You know, there is no right or wrong in this. There is no disappointing me.
Yeah.
Your disappointment, you disappointing me is not talking and just acting out.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be happy. I want them to be whole.
Yeah. Mentally healthy.
I don't want to be Michael Jackson daddy.
Right.
What was his name?
Huh? What's that? Tito? Was it Tito?
No, his father. What was Michael Jackson's father's name? I don't know. But my man, you know, he ran a strict household.
He definitely did.
You know what I'm saying? But they didn't have a life afterwards. They all had mental health challenges and all that stuff.
Barely identity.
They didn't even have an identity. Everything was in what they did without consideration of who they are.
Exactly.
And I want to make certain that both matters.
Yeah. What about so my thing is what made you? What are some of the foundations that created this version of you to even be the man, let alone the father you are?
Man, what made me me? I think the struggle. The cocaine addict mama. The heroin addict daddy. The molestation. The homelessness. The weeks without food. All of that. Rats being my pets and roaches being my insects. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
I remember my dad was dying of cancer. And he was apologetic because I had to quickly become a son to a man that I never really felt like was a father. I had to take care of him. And I remember a conversation he and I had where he said, hey, son, I don't know how you became who you are, but I'm proud of you and I wish I would have been better. You deserved a better father than me. You deserve somebody better than me. And I said, Pop, here's the reality. I wouldn't have traded you for the world. Because I am who I am because of who you were. And had you been anybody different, I would not be me. So you was the best dad I could have ever had, present and or absent. Because that's why I'm me. I carry your DNA.
Yeah.
Anybody else's DNA, I would not be me. So I think part of that helped to shape my grit.
Yeah.
But my foundation on Christ, the solid rock I stand. It was through the acceptance of somebody greater than me, which was Jesus Christ. Me giving myself back to the one that created me in the first place and understanding the why of my existence. Why did I become a professional failure at suicide, of trying to commit suicide? 4 times and I couldn't die. Why? Well, and why is it that I had to go through this? Why me? Because that was part of the purpose on my life. And once I found God, I found purpose. It made sense. Aha, I get it. So now I can go on a block. I can holler at the cat standing on the corner. I can minister life to them. I get it. I can go to the boardroom and sit and negotiate multi-million-dollar deals. I get it. I could stand in the pulpit and preach the gospel and lives get saved and transformed. I get it. I could sit with Neo, Chief Malik, and be able to meet him wherever he is and have conversation on multiple subject matters. Because all of the hell, not that I've been through, but I've been brought out of, to be able to go back and pull somebody else in. I realized I couldn't die because it was so many people that God was assigning me to help live.
You're going to be like you're the definition of converting pain into power.
Failure transformation expert.
Failure transformation expert.
I have failed so many times, whereby God has allowed me to transform them into successes. From being kicked out of 2 schools in high school, 1.9 GPA freshman year in high school, maybe 0.9, I don't remember now, to a 4.0 GPA freshman year in college. It wasn't that I was dumb. I just didn't know how to handle the dumb stuff that I was dealing with at the time.
Right.
So what do? I go back to them. Man, it's not that you dumb. You just don't know. I got to help you handle some of this dumb stuff you're dealing with.
Yeah. How can you focus on this if you got this in front of you,
Man.
or this waiting at home for you?
Absolutely. How the heck you going to tell me to focus in the classroom and my father just beat my tail last night, or I've been smoking weed with my father all night, or I've been peeping in the bathroom door watching my mama turn tricks. I ain't ate in 3 days and you want me to pay attention?
Right.
So those are the things that we speak to. Through our mentorship, financial literacy, entrepreneurship development, all of these things we seek to provide through the context of our non-for-profit and in terms of giving back.
What's the does the nonprofit go up under a different name?
Yeah, the Empowerment Center.
The Empowerment Center.
The Empowerment Center.
Okay.
TECgives.org.
Okay. TECgives.org.
Yeah.
So between that and between strikes and bites, what are some things you got going on or plans for the future?
It's funny because everything that I plan is always on how to impact somebody else's life. And then, I believe that money follows missions. And we don't pursue money, we pursue purpose, and in the pursuit of purpose, money follows. So when you ask me what is my plan for 2026, for example, well, this year we distributed enough food to accommodate nearly 3,000 people last year. I want to do 5,000 this year.
Okay.
This year we did almost 200 kids. I want to do 500 kids. I want to scale it.
Yep, double up the impact.
Man, I want to maximize the impact. And so in order to do that, we got to do better in revenue generation, because whatever I don't raise, I write the check for. And I'll give you an example. We raised less than $1,500 for Christmas. But every kid got everything they wrote on their Christmas wish list. I wrote the check. You see what I'm saying? So, and I'm not Bill Gates by a long shot. Trust you me, I probably wouldn't be talking to you if I had Bill Gates money. I'm joking. but so in that, from that perspective, we want to maximize our impact. The other piece that we want to do is we would, by the end of the year, have marked our 2nd location.
Okay.
Don't know that we will be open, but at least be in the conversation to say, okay, this is the spot for the next.
Now, when you say 2nd location, just an expansion of the in general, or like a franchise type of situation?
So it'll be, the answer is C, all of the above. The 2nd location would be another Strikes and Bites. It would be another community that we would look into, develop relationship with that community, that we can help transform that community one strike, one bite at a time. And then as we perfect these systems, we would consider some form of franchising opportunities. Right now, we're giving ourselves this next year to perfect systems.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we could change locations, but the goal is to change locations with a system that's in a box.
Exactly.
That when you open it, everything is is automatic.
Yeah.
And all you got to do is put people in to work the system.
Exactly.
And so that's where we're going, what we're looking at for that, as far as strikes and bites, and what we're doing in Empowerment Center. We have a work in South Africa that we've been doing now for about 4 years.
Mm.
And so my goal is going towards the end of this year. We've already did groundbreaking. We've already finished phase 1 of our projects, which was to take about 2 acres of land,
Mm-hmm.
clear the land, plow the land, and plant the land for fresh produce.
Gotcha.
So now that's happening.
Okay.
And we're giving away fresh produce. We're selling fresh produce and all of that in South Africa. Yeah. And now the second phase of that is to build a strip mall that we've done the groundbreaking for.
Mm-hmm.
But now I want us to, by September, to have the framework, the structure up.
Okay.
And then the third phase of that is we're building a what's called a hostel
Mm-hmm.
that will support about 120 girls
Okay.
for safe room and board for school.
Mm-hmm.
Because as the young ladies are traveling from the undeveloped rural area to go to school,
Mm-hmm.
They're being raped, they're being kidnapped, all kind of stuff is happening. They're selling their bodies. And so our goal is to have this structure done where during the week it's a safe space, so they don't have to walk hours
Yeah.
to and from school and be
A target.
exposed.
Yeah.
Thank you. A target. But they can stay there safely for the week
Mm-hmm.
and then go home on the weekends.
Yeah.
So we got a lot of stuff, man, that we're doing, which is why I got to do it with my kids,
Yeah.
because I'm one person.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful that my children have traveled to South Africa with me. They like going to South Africa and things of that nature. They see what we're doing. And my goal is that when it's time for me to be reconciled back to the Father, that I will live and the legacy will live through my children, where they will continue the work.
Yeah.
They'll continue to scale. They'll continue to grow. They'll continue to make money. They'll continue to give back. They'll continue to have freedom. They'll continue the work
Mm-hmm.
and being light in the midst of darkness and life in the midst of death.
100%. What's your take on the importance of understanding trust and estate planning?
That's interesting. On my way here, I was talking to my daughter about who the successor is, who the executor is. And she was like, "Dad, is any of this stuff, in writing?" And I said, "Yeah, it'll be all packaged for you."
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important, man, because if you don't tell your assets where to go while you living, you could lose your assets in your death.
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah.
And so the way that we're set up right now, God forbid something happened to me, I put my children in an unbelievable situation,
Mm-hmm.
meaning they can't function without each other.
Yeah.
My one son owns the land and the building
Mm-hmm.
of Strikes and Bites, but my daughter owns the business. So she can't function as a business without being in relationship and partnership with the owner of the land and the building.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't got no money coming in to take care of the land and the building if he don't have a business. So they kind of got to work hand in hand.
I like it.
But thank God, man, I got some kids. They are besties. My bottom three, I call them my top two and my bottom three. My bottom three, man, it's a blessing. They are best. But the 23-year-old and the 14-year-olds enjoy spending time with each other more than they do their selective friend groups.
That's good.
The princess My daughter, she understands who she is in the relationship dynamic, and so she will not be denied by her brothers. They spoil each other. Man, it's sweet, bro.
That's
I'm a blessed man.
that's an amazing thing.
I'm a blessed man. I am, man. I am a blessed man. God has blessed me tremendously, and He has done it in spite of me. I have made mistakes. I am making mistakes. I am not perfect. I am imperfect. But I believe that God knows where my heart is. My heart beats for my family, and my heart beats for my community, and my heart beats to see people that are in bondage set free.
So there's like a thing when people say like don't do business with family.
Yeah.
So you kind of like eliminated that whole perspective.
No, I haven't eliminated. I just chose the right people in the family. I trust my kids.
Okay. So they're not in this position by default just because you believe they've groomed to be qualified for.
Oh no, I got kids I got two of my kids that probably wouldn't be able to work with me. Yeah, I ain't no fool.
Okay.
And I got some relatives. My little brother works full time for me. My little sister works with me, and they understand.
Yeah.
I've had cousins that I've been in business with and decided we can't do business. But they ain't not gonna stop being cousins.
Yeah, for sure.
See, when people, unfortunately, culture creates a certain mindset that we embrace as principles to live by. And the only reason they're principles to live by because you have dared not to consider another principle that is not familiar with the culture by which you live.
Yeah.
My culture, the context of my culture and how I live doesn't come from the community that I was raised in or the traumatic family that I came from or the trauma from the family I came from. It's the context of the culture by which I seek to live in is that which the word has established for me. Yeah. That's the principle that I follow. Yeah. And so when you follow those principles, it helps to shape, it helps to recalibrate, it helps to tear down what needs to be torn down, build up. It helps to be the mirror in front of you that checks you, that causes you for self-evaluation before you start pointing the finger at anybody else. It forces you and gives you the grace, the space, the capacity, the competency to deal with the trauma that's dealing with you. It helps you to recognize in a place of humility, bruh, that's a trigger. Yeah. And you got to deal with that trigger before that trigger keep dealing with you. Yeah. It helps. And people don't want to submit to that.
No, takes accountability.
And they don't want to submit to that. They'd rather point the finger at somebody else than do their own work. Yeah. I'm not going to point the finger at my mama or my father for the way my life turned out or didn't turn out. Because at some point, I had to make an adult decision to become who I wanted to be or become what life they left or led me to be in.
So still boil down to you having a choice.
You got a choice. Every day you wake up, you got a choice as to who you are going to become, regardless of who you are.
Yeah. Now, you know that in our community, melanated people, everybody agrees that everybody wants to be successful. Everybody wants to make money. Everybody wants to be millionaires. Everybody wants to start a business now, more so than like back in the day. Entrepreneurship is becoming more and more popularized, but everybody doesn't seem to have the key. Understand that you have to have key ingredients in order for it to be successful individually, and you for sure have to have key ingredients if you want to sustain a profitable or successful business within a family structure.
Oh yeah.
And everything you've been describing this whole time has been the ingredients. It's not just this individualized mindset where you have the mother, you have the father, you have the kids. Okay, you wake up, I go to work, she goes to work, kids go to school, get their programming, come home, eat dinner, go to sleep, repeat the same cycle. And then when you turn 16 to 18, we can start discussing something serious and wonder why it doesn't work. Because in the process of all that whole thing, because a lot of kids are not treated like adults the way you've been systematically doing it, as far as giving responsibility, until I've seen people, treat, teenagers like babies up to the point where they're 16, 17, 18 years old, and wonder why they just, skate out and just fall on their heads.
Now, I told my 14-year-old son, we got to go get you a bank account because you don't have an understanding of money. And so we're going to get you a bank account, we're going to get you a card, and you're going to be fiscally, I'm not giving you no money, you're going to work for your money, and you're going to become fiscally responsible and learn how to manage your funds and things of that nature. I built all of my kids' credit. You know, by the time they got to a certain age, they already had good credit. And then I start giving them certain spaces. Like my middle son, Kyle, he has, from his first credit card was a gold American Express card that did not have a limit because I trusted his integrity.
So you was building that credit up instead of putting like the cable bill in their name and stuff like
that.
that.
No, I ain't doing that stuff. They did that to me. Way too much. My business got shut down because my daddy and I had the same name. He went and got a car in my name. I owned the dry cleaners. I'm 20-something years old. The marshal comes in and shut my business down because he had the car and they were seizing all of my assets.
Are you serious?
You said what I said. Yeah, you was thinking what I said that day. And I had to go to court and all that kind of stuff to gain access back to what I built. That my father, just with one stroke of a pen of lack of integrity. Yeah, I'm not putting nothing in my kid's name that's not gonna build them up.
Because that is, we do know that that's something that we can actually do. Like, kids don't have to start from zero, don't have to start from scratch, let alone be pushed back by way of our ignorance or lack of integrity. So even the aspect of, like, you know, people, because I think a lot of our people have come across a lot of money. You know, black folks play that broke, you know, that broke attitude, but a lot of people then came across some money, but they just don't know what to do with it.
Absolutely, it's not how much money you make, but it's how much money you keep.
Mm-hmm.
And the reality is, unfortunately, bro, I didn't have no big savings. I didn't have Social Security because I've been working for myself majority of my life. But I thought that I was Superman. I thought that I could keep the same rhythm, the same cadence, the same grind, same energy for the rest of my life and be making money.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was not until I was around 40, 42 years old that I said, wait a minute, I'm making money, but I'm not accumulating wealth.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute, if I couldn't work tomorrow, I don't have nothing to live off of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I started changing my mindset, start studying, connecting with financial experts and stuff like that, and then start learning some stuff. And as I learned some stuff, I taught some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew then, okay, come on, children, come on. Here it is. You 21, you 22, this is what we're going to do. For the next 7 years, if you invest $500 a month into this particular fund, and you decide you never want to save another dime after that 7th year run and just let that money accumulate, by your retirement age, you'll be a multimillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're going to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to make certain that you got the money to put in there, but you got to have the discipline to secure your future for the next 7 years.
Yeah.
Now, that's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't gave it to you. I'm putting you in a position to do it.
Yeah.
My 14-year-old even younger. So he got a whole nother, by the time that boy get to 40, he should be able to retire.
Mm-hmm.
With or without somebody giving him a pension.
Mm-hmm.
My 29-year-old right now, if he worked the same way, didn't add no more expenses, he could retire by the time he was 35 years old and live off the interest of the investments that he's been making.
Dang. That's powerful.
And this is just stuff they don't teach you in school, man.
No, definitely.
They don't teach you this stuff in school. They don't teach you the money game in school.
Mm-mm. No.
And so I had to learn the money game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't learn it till I was 40-something. I learned how to make money, but I didn't learn how to make money work for me.
Mm-hmm. I didn't teach us credit, consumer credit, business credit, bookkeeping, taxes.
Yeah.
All these different things that we tend to run away from, but will actually serve our purpose if we know how to position ourselves and leverage.
My biggest thing is I got to teach my babies in stages because I try to give it all to them at once and then be expecting them to do it just like that because I just told you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you got to meet them where they are. You got to find where their cadence is, where your rhythm is together.
Mm-hmm.
And because I never wanted to lead by control.
Yeah.
always wanted to lead by influence.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to force my kids to do something because they was afraid of me.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times parents lead by control.
Mm-hmm.
When they lead by control, kids do what they tell you to do while you're watching,
Or do the
because
opposite.
they're afraid of you.
Yeah.
And then when they get away from you, they do the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
But because they're, so when you lead by influence, when they move away from you, they're still listening for your voice.
Yeah.
Whether it's audible or in their head, they're asking the "what would Dad say" question.
Mm-hmm.
Because you led by influence. I always told my kids, if you ever get ready to make a decision, I'm going to tell you the secret of 99. And anybody that's listening, I'm going to tell you the secret to how to make the right decision 99.9% of the time. You, my child, this is how you make the right decision. This is the cheat sheet and how to make the right decision 99% of the time. The first question you got to ask is, what would Jesus do? Because who he is in nature and character will always do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to, in order to know what he would do, you got to know him.
Mm-hmm.
You got to know his nature. You got to know his character. The second thing is, what will Daddy say?
Mm-hmm.
Dad is not going to always do the right thing, because I'm living the same human experience that you're living. I'm subject to the frailty of humanity just as you are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to say the right thing,
Yeah.
because I'm going to say what he said.
Mm-hmm.
Then the last question that you got to ask yourself before you make this decision, this is a very critical question. Is it worth it? Are you ready to live with the outcome of that decision, good or bad? Can you afford to make that decision? Which means now you got to consider the consequences of the decision. You got to consider the pros. You got to consider the cons.
Exactly.
And if you do that every time you got to make a decision, 99.9% of the time you're going to make the right decision.
Yeah. Y'all heard that? All right. So speaking of which, when you hear the phrase "owe nothing, demand everything," what does that resonate to you as?
You know what? When I heard the phrase, when I saw the phrase, the immediate thing came to mind is a text that says, "Oh no man, nothing but love."
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw "demand everything," I heard the text that says, "Count those things that be not as though they already were."
Mm.
And that if you decree a thing, then it shall be established.
Yes.
And so when I heard it, "owe nothing," meaning be in debt to no man.
Mm-hmm.
Demand everything is put pressure on the atmosphere to adjust to accommodate your presence and or your desires.
Yes.
I personally believe that the atmosphere must adjust
Yeah.
to accommodate my presence.
Yeah.
Things must get in alignment to fulfill whatever purpose by which I am there.
Or you can't be there.
Or I can't be there.
Mm-hmm.
And so now that's a different realm. That's a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, man, that causes, it sounds almost arrogant. But the truth of the matter is, to get to that realm, to live in that space, it actually requires so much humility.
Yeah.
Because to get there says that I cannot do it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
That something greater than me, I have to be connected to it, that truly has the control over the atmosphere
Yeah.
in order for it to adjust for me.
Yeah.
This defiles the thoughts of even religion. This messes up some people's theology.
It do. Yeah.
It messes up some people's religious context. It messes up some people's comfortability and insecurity and low self-esteem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Y'all heard it, man. So let me ask you this: is this like the in-house atmosphere with you and the kids?
Oh man, we are who we are.
Yeah.
No matter where we are, we
is everybody outspoken, or some people some is introvert?
Here's the thing. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert.
Okay.
No,
I can agree. I can see how you could,
no.
I can see how you could flip up because
Or they
I'm
call it ambivert, whatever that is.
yeah. It really depends on, I guess, the environment or I think once you express yourself, once you open.
You know what it depends on?
Mm-hmm.
Purpose.
Purpose, yeah.
In purpose, I'm an extrovert. In person, I'd rather be by myself.
Gotcha.
Nobody believes it because I'm always in purpose. But here's the thing, man. So my son Kyle, my backbone, that brother is a shy guy until he's not.
Okay.
He's going to be naturally silly, just like me, just like his sister, just like his brother. We just who we are, man. Unapologetic. We don't put on a pretense. So in our atmosphere with all of our staff, it's more like family than anything.
Yeah.
We walk around, we joke, we laugh. I'm like Papa Bear in that joint. I fuss. I say what I got to say. I expect compliance, and then I move on. And sometimes they receive and be happy. Sometimes they don't. But we still here to do what we need to do. So yeah, for us, we was just looking at office space, and my son in there cracking jokes. Kyle in there cracking jokes. That's just what we do. She's sitting there jumping on, my daughter's sitting there jumping on his back. They taking pictures. We laughing. The realtor showing us the space said, "Oh, I love you guys. I wish I could take you home."
That's crazy.
We just being ourselves.
Right.
And I'm not. There's no celebrity. I'm gonna be who I am.
Yeah. What's the funnest day at Strikes and Bites to you?
Sunday Fun Day.
Sunday Fun Day.
The reason why I love Sunday Fun Day, man, is because number one, during the week, people at work and all that kind of stuff, and then when you get off work, most families they getting kids together, they doing homework, they getting ready to go back to work the next day. So we don't get to see the diversity of our community, the diversity of our families until Sunday.
Okay.
When Sunday come, we're open at 12, we close at 10.
Okay.
And sometimes it's a melting pot in there, man. Sometimes I got white families. I even had a group of Asians walk on that joint. I got Hispanics walk in there. I see kids running around, and I love that. So that's fun to me. That's fun to see families actually coming together, having a good time. And then it's karaoke Sunday on Sunday Fun Day.
Okay.
So this is your time to shine. This is where you become the star. And if you miss it, at least you could hit the walls of the atmosphere of the bar. So it's just a time to have. And then for me, man, I try to make every day fun. If I'm not having fun, I'm miserable.
Yeah.
I love to have fun.
Yeah.
Only reason I hadn't gotten too loose in this podcast is because you haven't loosened that dang on jacket yet. You're sitting there all dignified. Yes. Y'all silent, asking questions and carrying on. Yeah. And so, well, you so cool that we ain't got to ask your permission. But, I almost reached out. Loosen up, man. Come on. But I like to have fun, man. So Sunday Fun Day is my favorite day.
I believe in that though. It's like I purposely make sure, like if it's whether it's a business meeting or anything, or especially in my house, it's like I'm always trying to surround myself. If I'm working, I don't want to feel like I'm working. Put it like that. You know what I'm saying? No matter what I'm doing, so that's why I always have gadgets around or something around. So it seems like I'm
gadgets, Doc.
Every room has a station. Every room has a station.
Yeah, that's too much. My ADHD wouldn't be able to stick to that. I frustrate your life, because I go in that room, move a piece of that station to room 3, and you be like, "What is this in room 3? You're supposed to be in room 1 on station 2." I don't.
Yeah, so it's like, because I think I'm a little bit like you say the son that's more of an introvert.
Yeah.
That has the until he doesn't need to be, or until he feel like he.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like, yeah, I'm in solitude. I'm always need to be doing something different. Need to learn something different. I need to always be in some type of martial arts. Like you go downstairs, I got the Wing Chun set up downstairs. You
Oh,
know what I'm saying? It's like,
okay, I
you
see.
know, it's like I always got to be doing something.
Yeah, man. The something I'm always doing is I'm always thinking about the the next big impact.
Next is us.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about the next big impact, the next big move. Um, I go to sleep with a burden of waking up, thinking that I haven't done enough.
Yeah,
Out of all of the stuff that I do, I feel like I can do more.
it's always more to do.
And I've trained my children. I teach my children and those that are around me. It was funny because this phrase I'm about to say, normally my kids will say it. They'll finish it when I say it. And I had a staff member that was around me, and I was in a conversation, and they completed the sentence. It blessed me at the same time, because one of the things I teach is that if better is possible, then good is not enough.
Mm.
And you'll never get to being the absolute best until you go through better.
Yeah,
And you'll never get to better if you're comfortable with being good,
yeah,
because you won't even put the energy that's necessary to be better,
yeah.
which means you'll never be the best. And so I'm always thinking, and sometimes I have to be careful, because my presentation can make people feel inadequate if I am questioning their good. And they may take it personal. I'm not questioning your good because you're not good enough. I'm questioning your good to see if better is possible.
Yeah.
And I have to help them to understand that no, you're never going to find me as satisfied. I'll be content
For the moment.
in a moment of discontent,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to be satisfied. Why? Because I know that better is possible.
Yeah.
My son, my 14-year-old, blessed me. Chief, one day we was talking about his grades. And I was really, really blessed by by this moment. I thought I heard him say that he had a 3.64 GPA. We were going over it. So when I repeated 3.64, his response was 3.64. What? He said, that's embarrassing. What do I look like walking around with a 3.64? And so we were talking about what is a healthy GPA for him to maintain in order to continue as he is. And so I was like 3.75. And I said, whenever you get to 3.75 and you maintain at every grade, I'm going to give you $500 to invest, to do whatever. And he said, Dad, you don't pay for grades. Because I don't. He said, that's what I'm supposed to do. You ain't got to pay me no $500 for that. I'm going to get that anyway. He said, now, if you just want to give me some money, that's something different. But that blessed me because he understands.
Yeah.
He understands that he has to take personal responsibility for better for his life.
Yeah. Amazing feeling. So you obviously a proud dad, for sure.
Oh man, I'm more proud as a dad than I am as a person. I'm trying to find identity outside of my children.
Are they your greatest assets?
Man, they're
Sounds like it.
the gift of. I don't look at them as assets, because if I look at them as assets, I look at them as property. And looking at them as assets, look at them as property. They're not assets to me; they're gifts.
Okay.
The greatest gift that God could have ever given me was the gift of fatherhood. And I could not have had a better group of children. There's not a person that meets them that has not already been familiar with who they are. I can talk about them forever and not stop and not run out of things to say. To me, they make my life matter. And I don't even know if that's healthy as an individual to say that, man, the fulfillment of my life as is today is based on doing it with my children. If I was coaching someone, I may say, dude, you need to find something else to fulfill you, because them kids going to get grown. They're going to leave your tail. They're going to, you better find something else. But the reality is just that. Mm-hmm. Greatest asset? Nah. Greatest accomplishment? Yeah.
Gotcha.
I don't brag about nothing too much other than them. You won't hear me brag about a bunch of anything. I will not be self-serving. You're not going to hear me say I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. I ain't nothing. I'm filthy rag, man. Just been washed by the blood. But what you will hear me say, you'll hear me brag about them kids. You'll hear me say I ain't do a lot of things right, but based on what they are becoming, I'm doing this dad thing okay. Mm-hmm. What you will hear me say is I'm giving back to my people. You'll hear me say that. I myself am nothing. But what you'll hear me talk about purpose. You'll hear me say, hey, you own your space. What God blessed me to be good at is to build businesses and help people build businesses. Mm-hmm. You know? And that's the reality.
So, ending off, I got 3 questions. What would be your final words of wisdom for people, for the youth mainly, for the youth out there that come from where you come from, where we come from, that are trying to find themselves or trying to find a way out? What type of advice would you give them as far as in aspirations of business? That's the first question.
So you actually had asked 2 questions in the mix of it.
Okay.
The first question you asked was, for those that came through kind of the life that we came through, mm-hmm. what advice would I give them mm-hmm. to get out?
Yes. Mm-hmm. If I said that because, like, if they were saying, like, oh, I'm gonna become an entrepreneur so I can get out, that was the way out.
So
right?
Cool. So the first thing is understanding this. Without a vision, the people perish. What that means is, that word perish means they become wild, they become unconstrained. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. And so what you have to do is establish a vision. That's point 1. Your vision is going to give your daily activity direction. Mm-hmm. So after establishing the vision, you got to establish a plan. Mm-hmm. Point 2. Mm-hmm. What is the direction? What is the plan to get to the vision? Yeah. Then point 3, you got to execute. Mm-hmm. And there is no substitution for the lack of execution. Yes. You got to discipline yourself to execute. Mm-hmm. You cannot just want it. Mm-hmm. You got to go get it.
And the wanting and the planning is not the execution, just so y'all know.
Absolutely not.
People get that confused.
No, the wanting and the planning is not the execution. Mm-hmm. The execution is the action that you take to move from point A to point B to get to destination, which is point C. Yeah. And a lot of times we want it, but we don't want to go through the sacrifice. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go through the pain. Mm-hmm. We don't want to go through the process. Mm-hmm. There has never been a purpose that was established that did not have to go through a process. And there has never been a process in the pursuit of purpose that did not have to go through pain.
I heard that. Convert that power into pain. Everybody skips that process. Oh, if it's a process, I'm gonna skip. So they skip around and bounce around to different things.
And then they got to keep coming back to the same lesson.
They scroll on social media and somebody out there like, just click the link in the bio. You can do this in 30 days, 60 days. It's not like that. No. You know, you can't skip the process. You can't.
You got to go through. And so esteem the process. Mm-hmm. The next thing about this, so I gave you those 3 points. Mm-hmm. And the last point I'll give you before you go into your next question is this. Embrace failure.
You learn more from failure than you do success.
Failure is the conduit of success. Mm-hmm. You know the challenge with failure is that the failure for most people becomes their identity. Mm-hmm. Failure is not who you are. Mm-hmm. As I say all the time, failure is nothing more than a life lesson that said, oops, that didn't work.
I know what not to do. Yeah.
It's a life lesson. Learn from it. Grow from it.
Failure shouldn't be considered a failure if you actually learned the lesson.
You succeeded.
Mm-hmm.
That's just what you paid for without going to school.
Exactly.
You didn't have homework for that.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
100%.
You didn't have to do a paper.
100%.
You lived through it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Next question is, what's the message to the youth in relation to understand the importance of family and fatherhood? I know there's probably two questions too.
Well, here's the challenge. When you say the youth as it pertains to family and fatherhood, unfortunately, we have not many fathers.
Mm.
When you look at the household today, we live in a society where the fathers have been absent. Mm-hmm. Now, statistics are showing that fathers are starting to come back home. Mm-hmm. They're starting to take more of an active role and responsibility in the child rearing. So really, what would I say to youth as it pertains to fathering, as to their fathers, is if you have one present, and present doesn't mean they're in the house, yeah, but you have one actively present, latch on to that father, mm-hmm, because there's 100 kids that wish they had one, mm-hmm, that was there, that cared, that was trying. But then what about that kid that don't have one? What would I say to that kid, yeah, which I think is the most important, mm-hmm, is don't let the issues of your past hinder the potential of your future. And don't continue to allow the fact that he wasn't there to be an excuse for you to not to become who ultimately your heart desired to be. Just because you lost hope in having a dad, don't lose hope in becoming who you are. Mm. Because sometimes when daddy is not there, we got so many daddy issues, yeah, that we get stuck, yeah, on who wasn't there, lose sight of who was there, and forget about the fact that I got to live with myself, whether who's there or not. So if you got to live with yourself, live with your best self. Mm. Don't live with the bottle. Don't live with the weed. Don't live with the pipe. Mm-hmm. Don't live with the needle. Mm-hmm. And stop making excuses. Yeah. At some point, you as an adult got to be responsible for you, regardless of who was there and who was not.
Lastly, man, what is the importance of having a relationship with your higher self, your higher power?
Man, I think I said it unapologetically, my higher self and my higher power. There is no higher self, but it's Jesus. You got to have relationship with God. If you want to know who you are, you got to know who he is. If you want to know why you are, you got to know who he is. If you want to know how you are, you got to know who he is. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to, watch this, source a response greater than your own experience in certain moments in your life. To be responsible is the appropriate response. And I didn't learn what some of the appropriate responses was until I met him. Mm-hmm. And I learned him. And I can't learn him unless I know his word. Mm-hmm. Because in the beginning was God. In the beginning was the word. And the word was with God. And the word was God. So that means the word is who he is. So to know who he is, I got to know his word. And once I know his word, I learn his character. I learn his nature. I learn the appropriate responses. Yeah. I learn what's not good in me. Mm-hmm. I learned then, God, search my heart, know my thought. If there's any wicked in me, lead me to the way of everlasting. It's so important. Because if I was limited to myself, I would have been dead a long time ago.
Amen to that. You guys heard it from the wise words of Dan D. Johnson of Strikes and Bites, located on...
It's 2524 Ridge Road in Lansing. That's 2524 Ridge Road in Lansing. That's right off Torrance and Ridge in Lansing, Illinois. Strikesandbites.com. That's strikesandbites.com.
Strikesandbites.com. Today is Wednesday, right?
I think so.
So this week we have you have the podcast going on Saturday.
Saturday Alley Talk, man, real talk, real brothers. That's gonna be interesting. It's all kind of backgrounds that's gonna
This
be in
the
that room.
first episode.
First one.
Okay,
First
this is the first
It's
episode.
gonna be a breakfast at 8:00. We gonna bowl. We gonna have alley talk. We gonna just talk. It's gonna be fun.
Okay,
I think. I hope.
it
Pray
will.
for me.
All right, then of course Sunday Fun Day right after that.
Absolutely. We got Step and Bowl this Thursday.
Step and Bowl.
Step and Bowl.
Step and
First and
Bowl
third
on-
Thursdays. We stepping with Sean Ballantyne and DJ Black Ice, Tony Swag. It's gonna be epic.
Okay, and what are some of the things on the menu? I don't think we spoke on that.
Woo! We got chicken Philly, turkey burgers, cheeseburgers, black bean burgers. We got wings, garlic parmesan. We got buffalo wings. We got barbecue wings. We got the Strikes and Bites sauce.
I
That's
heard
the
it.
sauce that Rachel and I put together ourselves. 14 different ingredients. It's our everything sauce. Man, we got so much on that menu. Whatever we got, I guarantee you're going to like it.
Yeah, I heard that, and also
Chicken Phillies and patty melts.
chicken Phillies. All right, y'all. I had that chicken Philly the first time I went
fire,
there.
wasn't it?
That chicken Philly was that chicken Philly was
See, I
fire.
had a lot of them. You
Yeah,
had one.
yeah,
I had
yeah.
probably two.
I had that chicken. Matter of fact, I had it both times I went there. Now I need to switch it up because I keep on having the same thing over and over again. You also have a full-fledged bar as well.
I call it the libation.
The libation center.
Yeah,
All right. Where
libation, celebration, Strikes and Bites is Lansing's Vibe Nation.
All right, y'all heard that. So that's also where you can play cards, Unos, dominoes, whatever you do. It's like the lounge area,
Yeah, or the chill
the
it.
chill area. Okay. And any other plans for that area too?
Man, we'll have gaming in there soon.
Okay. Like video game.
Like
Or
casino game.
Casino game. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, we'll have that in there soon. But other than that, that's what we got.
Strikes and Bites, y'all. We got Dan D. Johnson. Till next time.
Prosper.
Peace.